Hello, I'm Robert Ellsberg, the publisher of Orbis Books. And today we are going to be talking about an extraordinary book, Love Made Me an Inventor, the story of Maggy Barankitse, humanitarian genocide survivor, citizen without borders. And I'm very happy to be joined today by the author of this extraordinary book, David Toole, who has, I think, pulled off an extraordinarily difficult narrative challenge to make goodness credible, to show the power of love, to show a person who sets out to make the impossible possible, and who at great cost has undertaken the mission of awakening humanity. That's the description of the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity, which Maggy Barankitse was the first person to receive from the hands of Elie Wiesel. And I'm extremely grateful to be joined today by the subject of this biography herself, Maggy Barankitse. So welcome to you both. Maggy, David told me you are excited about this book and you're reading it now with great enjoyment. What would you like people to learn from this book or to take away from it?
I am.
Maybe having trouble hearing me?
Yeah, I hear you, but I see that the connection is not good, but I will, yes,
We
resolve. I
hear you
am not
I hear you very
good.
clearly, so just go ahead and speak.
Yeah, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes. What is important for me, David knows, it's that everybody, it's to awakening humanity, the humanity we have in our heart, and to know that there is no fatality in our life, that love wins, however. This is what I want that people knows. There is nothing that can stop the love.
Mm-hmm. Well, the story begins by telling the background of your country, Burundi, a country that neighbors Rwanda, which is uh, more famous for the terrible genocide that took place there in 1994. But people are not so aware that Burundi has suffered what people have called a slow motion genocide in the form of a similar ethnically charged civil war that has continued for many years or even decades. And that's the sort of background of your story. But the heart of the story begins on a particular day in October 1993, which you say was the day that changed my life forever. I wonder if you could share with us what happened then and what that meant for your life.
Uh, of of course, those the history of Burundi, nobody knows what really since 1959 what happened, because everybody has his narrative. And the day that changed my life, of course, was there because nobody believed me, because when I raised kids since I was 24 years old, when I was a teacher, I tried to explain that something can happen if the politician uh, uh, don't want to change the narrative, to see to to look to the reality of the lives of the people. And then when they killed the president Ndadaye, the first um, Hutu president who was democratically elected, and 3 months after they killed him, uh, uh, a very small group of Tutsi militaries who killed the president on 21st of October in 1993. And then the Hutu, who were, of course, prepared, the politician prepared secretary to to kill the Tutsi if the president was killed. And on 22nd of October 1993, they killed almost 60 members of my family in my hometown, I think the district of Ruigi. And I freed my village thinking I am in a sacred place in the bishop house with other Hutu and Tutsi. And then in the morning, it was Sunday, and I saw people that I loved with a weapon, with also machete, stones, and coming and tied me and killed 72 people who were also my friends. You see, friend killed other friends, and what I can do, I have two choices, or to flee my country and to turn the page and deny my citizen of Burundi, or to stand up and to raise those kids who were rescued from the massacres and transform these massacres in hope, in raising a new generation, those kids with my faith to forgive and to turn the page, not to forget, but how to transform those suffering in an opportunity to rebuild a country on other foundation. This is how I stood up, I speak up, and I rise up. I decided for this moment to say, no, this is my motherland. I will not flee this country. I will raise those kids. Then those massacres changed really my life. I say I was a new Maggie. I was another. I know with my faith that God will protect me. And God, yes, when Jesus died on the cross, he said, don't be afraid. I will be with you until the end of the world. Then I stood up. This is how I can describe the emotional I have to say how I was on 24th on Sunday, how I was full of anger, of course, but full of hope. With my faith, I said, okay, Maggie, now never give up. To take those kids, I feel in my heart that I must do something.
So you didn't just take care of some kids. You established a whole kind of village, or the Maison Shalom, the House of Peace, that was much more than just an orphanage. Uh, it was an extraordinary story.
I had never been to establish orphanage. With my experience with my childhood, I know the roots of this evil in Burundi was hatred, was how to say, not access of good education, then I want really to transform the whole uh, country in a good place where we can live in dignity. Then it demands many, how to say, projects, because you can't raise a child in hatred. Then it was to make peace building, then to build a place where they can library, when they can have a window on the world. And the first project, everybody said, "Are you crazy?" It was to think about cinema and the library and put the swimming pool. The people said, "But you lost your mind. Are you crazy? The people need something to eat." But I said, "Oh, okay, I know that. But we must fight against this ignorance and this hatred, and to gather all the people with the same interest to see." I show the film, the first film. I show Juliet and Romeo and Juliet. And this is how I imagined when I saw AIDS kids coming, also AIDS children who lost their parents because of AIDS, and the mothers who were dying with yes, giving birth. Then I spoke with my partners in Europe. I said, "No, we must build a hospital." But when I build hospital, I have seen that people have nothing to eat. They will come, even we give malaria medicine, if they have nothing to eat. If they are very poor, they have not good food. Then I think about for agriculture and other. I have seen that they must have access to jobs and also soldiers, how they can continue to live in their community without vocational training. Then everything. If David was clever to say, "Love made me an inventor." Because I love those, I can see what they need. They need dignity. Then to have dignity, you must have a job. Then to create a job, to create a restaurant, to give to everybody how he can live so independent, not become beggars. And I have seen that they need spiritual also education. It's why people ask me, why you build chapel, because they must be to how to forgive themselves, to reconcile with themselves. They need to take time for meditation and to be reconciled with this bad situation.
If I could, I'd like to bring David into this. This is an incredible story. How on the actual site of a massacre, you build this kind of place of rebirth, and that would be an incredible story by itself. But that's only there's so much more to happen. The violence continues. You are target of assassination attempts. You have to go into hiding, and then you have to flee your country. The everything you created there in Burundi is kind of destroyed, and you start all over again in Rwanda, and it's the beginning of an even much wider mission. I'd like to ask you, David. you said this book is a product of a relationship of like 16 years or something. And you said you didn't realize you were writing a book until you were. Um, at what point did you, from your encounter with Maggie, from the first time you met her, did you begin to sense that this story was going to be important for you and a story you wanted to tell?
I mean, it's a good question because I it snuck up on me. There was no question when I first met Maggie in 2009 that that there was something about Maggie and what she was doing in Burundi at the time that was mind-boggling, and it was beyond impressive. It was in a certain sense it didn't make sense. I mean, it was this amazing, as Maggie said, you're in rural Burundi, essentially in the middle of nowhere on the African continent, and you encounter a movie theater and a swimming pool as the things that have been built to care for children who, as Maggie said, obviously need food and all of the other things. So there was this sort of an encounter with this remarkable imagination. There also was the fact, as I describe in the book, that the hospital, which is built upon the village of Maggie's family that was destroyed in 93, one of the most important parts of that hospital was the morgue. And Maggie spent time talking to us about the importance of the morgue in relationship to the chapel that was all part of the hospital complex. And that didn't make sense to me either. I've never been in an American hospital where the people who designed it wanted me to know about the morgue and where it was and why it was important. So that was 2009. And I would say at that time, I absolutely knew that I had been confronted with something I didn't understand. And I had opportunity at that time because I was going back and forth to East Africa quite frequently to keep encountering Maggie. And so originally it was sort of serendipity that we would find ourselves together. And every time we did, I would start peppering her with questions, asking her more and more questions. Um, and I think somewhere in the early years, I realized that there was a story I wanted to capture, but I thought of it as a essay, some short, maybe 8 or 9 thousand word thing. So it really was. I think it's when her life changed so dramatically. I mean, one way to think about it is when I met with Maggie, we met in 2015 in January in Uganda. And at that point, Maggie was telling me,
Yes.
at that point, Maggie was telling me she was thinking of retiring from Maison Shalom and returning to her village and turning Maison Shalom over to some of the children who had come up through Maison Shalom, and they would now run Maison Shalom. And that was January and of 2015. And by June 2015, she had had to escape, flee from the country after an assassination attempt. And I think it was at that point, the year following that, when I went back to Rwanda to visit Maggie, now in exile, that I realized that there was a story here that needed more attention, and that I still don't think I thought it was a book, but I knew there was a story that I needed to keep trying to tell, and that was 2016, and it just unfolded from there.
You point out that she makes frequent comparisons with her story with biblical characters, and you say that at a certain point you began to see her as a biblical character. What did that mean for you?
Um, well, I mean, I'm not sure. In one sense, it's Maggie herself always places her life in the context of the biblical story, quite just naturally, right? She doesn't search for it; it's just sort of there. So she's making allusions to characters um, in the Bible all the time, and if you spend enough time with Maggie, what you start to realize is that if you look at her life and what she has how she lives it and what she's done, she is essentially she could easily be one of those characters. Like it is a story of incredible suffering, an amazing joy, and wonder and grace. And so she covers the whole gamut of suffering through joy in the way that I think the Bible ultimately holds up for us.
The it's very clear throughout that your faith and deep trust in God, Maggie, in the providence of God, love of God, is what sustains you through all this, and causes you never to lose hope or to give up. I was struck that after the massacre that you witnessed in 1993, you went to a monastery for a month, and
Yeah.
you told David there that I think that there you discovered that if I accepted in my heart that God, that God is powerful, that God is love and tenderness, that God forgives even all this, then I could go on. It is a very biblical story.
Yes, yes. For me, I said to David, without this suicide myself, because there was surrounding me, there was no reason to continue to hope or to fight. But with this gift of faith, you know, it's not about you. It's about somebody who is powerful, who is love, who said, "Don't be afraid. I am the way, je suis le chemin, la vérité. I am the truth, and I am the life." Then, without those three values, because he said, "I am the way, I am the truth, I am the, the life." It's why I continue, even they had destroyed everything I built with love during 23 years, and to rebuild again, to begin from zero, because I know that he will never abandon me. He will, it's for his glory. It's why you see, even the cancer didn't destroy me. I always believe that he's always there, and it's about him. It's not about those criminals who are some. Of course, I am not an angel. I am human being. Some sometimes I am so angry, I insult, I make my lament, I, I go in a chapel and said, "Stop, you are not love, you are not, you lied to us, how you create such criminals, brothers and sisters." So it's like that. You fall, you stand up, you fall, and you stand up. And this is our life. Yeah.
You
We are not there.
well, you had to
Yes.
after leaving Burundi, you had to start all over again in Rwanda and kind of on even a larger scale. And then you won the Aurora Prize and the which I mentioned, which is, quote, to recognize modern day heroes and the exceptional impact their actions have made on preserving human life and advancing humanitarian causes in the face of adversity. As I said, that was presented by Elie Wiesel. It sounds like an award. You were the first one to receive it that might have been inspired by your example. And you say that that was another turning point in your life because it made you understand what you were doing, your vocation, on an even wider scale or an even broader sense of awakening humanity, as you say, humanizing humanity. What form does that take for you?
Yes. uh, for you see this award to awakening humanity. It's so strange that the same year they condemned me as a criminal. the same year, they proclaimed that I am a person who had dedicated her life for awakening humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a sign also for me that I must not care about what the government of Burundi decided to condemn me for perpetual life. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, to continue to believe in this humanity, to continue to put seeds everywhere you are, a seed for hope, a seed for love, a seed of compassion, a seed for humility, a seed where you go, you must not think, oh, they give me so much recognize, then I became a star. No, you are there to put seed, to put a candle in that darkness,
Mm-hmm.
and to say each evening, okay, God, thank you. Another this day, forgive me for what I didn't achieve because of my bad character. But thank you also what I had achieved because of you give me strength. And another day come, you continue to believe and to continue to cultivate hope, to know that we are builder of hope, and to continue to know that it's not about you, it's about the humanity that we share, everybody. Then this is the way how to humanize humanity when you travel, when you sit in the plane, when you are in a conference, when you are in the church, when you are there in hospital. Yes, I spent 8 months in hospital. And there, I think it was also amazing time for meditation
Mm-hmm.
for me, and to recognize that this work from Maison Shalom, it's not my work. It's a work for everybody. And the Maison Shalom was born in the heart of God. And it's why during this moment for, yes, suffering of cancer with therapy that was not so, yes, that destroyed also some part of my body. And I lost the hair, I lost my capacity also for, yeah, but I discover that I must spread this message through my friends, and I called David and I said to him, why not to think about the foundation in USA, because they need, uh, um, of course, they need this message. I discovered that the message was not about the Great Lakes region of Africa, but it was in universal message. I think, to humanize humanity, you can be in your office and you can call your friend to celebrate
Mm-hmm.
in the world, to celebrate brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you said
I'm so happy, yes, that you help me. Thank you to help me for through this book, people will discover if we can reach the most, yes, number of the people.
yeah, just to for people who haven't read the book, what you're referring to for the first place, you were tried in absentia in Burundi and sentenced to perpetual imprisonment. Then you had an ordeal with breast cancer that was very dangerous, and you survived that. But all of these forces that tried to press you down into the ground, you said that they didn't realize that they were planting seeds. That connects with what you were saying. Um, I, David, I want to give you a chance to talk about the foundation and other ways that you have tried to support and make known Maggie's mission and ministry.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, to go back to your question about sort of, I didn't know I was writing a book until I was. I think, there's two things really that led me to write the book in the end. One was I was telling Maggie's story to people in presentations or just, colleagues. And whenever they heard it, they would always say, have you written that down? So in many ways, it was other people telling me that I needed to get the story out so that more people would know it, that ultimately led to writing the book. But the other part of it was also Maggie herself, really pressing me to help her get her message out. And Maggie's very good at recruiting people to her message. And so, so when I crossed the line into the book, it was very much the combination of other people saying who'd heard the story, this is a story that should be heard more widely, with Maggie also, saying, can you help me get the story out? And so the book became a vehicle for that. We have now created a 501c3 in the US, Love's Inventions, that is the mission of which is to try to help Maggie spread her message to as wide an audience as possible, but with particular emphasis in the United States, where Maggie has a sense that we need to hear what she has to offer. And so we just incorporated it in October, and we're just getting running.
Well, aside from the extraordinary story, which is just unbelievable in a lot of ways, is just throughout is just her voice, Maggie, your voice, and wisdom that comes through in these, just kind of epigrammatic sentences. Like you said, the only vocation, the human vocation, is to distribute happiness and life, which comes straight from God. And they're just, this is a person who says these things just in the middle of telling an incredibly hair-raising or inspiring story, always bringing you back to the foundation of your faith. So it is truly a very biblical story, and I love it. Toward the end where you said, "For as long as I can remember, I've tried to imagine the world differently." Um, and that you said your dream was of transforming the world into paradise. Very ambitious dream, but I think really through reading this book and through encountering your story and your just graceful, beautiful message, I think you helped to plant the seeds of that dream in many other people too. I hope that will happen. I hope the book is read very widely. Uh, and again, this is the cover. Love made me an inventor. The story of Maggy Barankitse. It's been a great pleasure talking with you, and thank you again, David, for an incredible contribution.
Thank you. Good to see you, Maggie.
Good to see you. See you uh, perhaps in November. I am invited in New York for Awakening Humanity for the Aurora Prize.
Very good.
And thank you, Robert.
My
I
pleasure.
hope that you will come
We will meet in
and
person.
we will, yes, and we will try to find the moment to sign the books together
Excellent.
and to promote the book in the
Certainly, I want
USA
you to
and
sign my
in
copy. We're about to run out of time, so I'll just stop recording here.
All right.
Take care. Be very well.
yes.